Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Guys, in my this lecture of our square root function, I'm going to explain you how to find the domain of a square root function and the square root having a quadratic equations type 2, right? So I'm going to show you here. Means, for example, if you have fx, right, and this fx is ax square plus bx plus c, where, listen, you have to understand the condition here. Number one, where a is less than 0 and discriminant d is always greater than 0. Okay, these two things. In my previous lecture, in type 1, I told you a is positive and d is greater than 0, right? Here d is greater than 0, but a is less than 0, right? So this is called type 2. If you see these two conditions, a is less than 0 and d is greater than 0. What is a? The coefficient of x square, right? And the d. And what is the value of the d? b square minus 4ac. D is called the discriminant, right? Okay. I can give you one example, but before example, I said to you this is called type 2. You can say here it's type 2. Okay, type 2. Okay, now I can give you one example. The example, for example, I can give you fx. For example, I have the same thing I'm going to tell you, x plus 2 and x plus 3, and here I'm going to write down minus, or you can say, or this is, you have this question, or this can be written as, make the bracket here, solve this question, this is x square, and this 3x plus 2x, this is 5x, and 3 multiplied by 2, this is 6, or the question is minus x square minus 5x plus c. Means you have these questions, or this question, or this question, all are the same things. This is fx, this is fx, this is fx. Okay, this is your question. Okay, sometimes you can see this question in the book, sometimes you can see this one, sometimes you can see this one. All these three questions are the same question. Why? Because here a is equal to 1 and d is always greater than 0. I'm going to prove here. You can say in this question, here a equal to minus 1, right? And if you are going to calculate here, you can say b is equal to what? Minus 5, c is equal to 6, right? So I'm going to find out d. So d is equal to what? B square minus 4ac, right? I'm going to solve this one only in one question, then we will solve the question, right? So what is the value of b? Minus 5 whole square minus 4 into a is minus 1 and c is equal to 6. So minus plus 2 to 25, minus plus 4 6 24, and 5 4 9 2 2 4 49. You can say d is equal to 49, which means d is greater than 0, right? So you have two things here, d is greater than 0 and a is equal to minus 1, means a is what? Less than 0. So when you see this one, d is greater than 0 and a is less than 0, we can say this is type 2. And guys, in type 2, how will you find the domain? Okay, so for example, this is my question and I'm going to find out the domain of these three, right? These three means this is the one question. I'm going to find out the domain. So you can say domain domain, you have to find what is the domain, right? So what is the function here? Okay, the function is, I'm going to take the first one. You can write any equation here, right? So minus x plus 2 and x plus 3, right? The same thing you have to do, find out, these are the two different linear factors, find out the zeros. So what is the zeros here? Minus 2, and here what? X is equal to minus 3, right? After then what you have to do, draw a real line, okay? This is what? Positive infinity, and this is minus infinity, okay? So tell me, where is minus 2 here? So minus 2 will be this side, right? And minus 3 will be this side, okay? So in this case, do one thing. The graph of such function, again I said to you, this is a square root function. So when we talk about a square root function, we will consider the positive part and we will ignore the negative part, right? So you will see the graph, this will be the semicircle, always, okay? And remember one thing, we will consider the positive things only, not the negative one. In a square root, we will just consider the positive when we talk about square root functions. And we are not going to take this one. I'm not going to take the function value. I'm not finding the range here. I'm discussing about the main concern here to find the domain. Domain means the values of x. And alhamdulillah, we get two values of x. This is minus 2, minus 3. So we will say domain is from minus 3 to minus 2. And listen, you have to use the close bracket here and here. Only this one. Always this is the semicircle, right? And I will explain you this one, why the graph is semicircle, okay? So the domain here minus 3 to minus 2. Once you know the zeros, so you can take the domain, means the number, the values of x will come from minus 3 to minus 2. So the domain from minus 3 to minus 2. So if you give any number from minus 3 to minus 2, this function exists. If you give other number, yeah, out of this domain, out of this interval, the function never exists, okay? Now I'm going to give you 3 or 4 questions and we will solve here, right? Okay. So I have another question, question 2. Okay, so for example, y is equal to, I have, you can say, for example, 2x minus 1 and x plus 3. And here we have minus, okay? So you can just open by yourself, okay? You will find a quadratic equation like this one, okay? So we have two different factors, minus. It means when you check here, you will find a is always less than 0 and d is always greater than 0. You can check here. Why? When you multiply here, you can find minus 2x square. So minus 2 is less than 0. And when you have a quadratic equation like this, right, you will find the value of d is always greater than 0. In this case, whenever you have two different linear factor, it means the value of d is always greater than 0. Remember this thing in your mind. Okay, so can you tell me what is the zeros here? You can say 2x minus 1 equal to 0. So 2x is equal to 1. So x is equal to 1 by 2. So this is x 1 by 2. And here we have what? X is equal to minus 3. Once you know this is 1 by 2, this is minus 3. So draw a line, horizontal line. And 1 by 2 means what? 0.5. Okay. So where is 0.5? You know 0.5 is here. This is 0.5. And this is what? Minus 3 is here. Do one thing. This is minus outside. The graph is always the circle. And we consider the positive part. So this will be something like this. So the domain will be minus 3 to 1 by 2, and we use the close bracket, this one and this one. So minus 3 to 1 by 2. This is the domain of this function. Again, I'm going to give you one example here. So for example, if you have any question here, like you can say x minus 2, and I can say here x plus 5, and this is minus, right? So here again you will find the same things. A is always less than 0 and d is always greater than 0. Whenever you have these two conditions, find out the zeros, which will be x is equal to 2 and here x is equal to minus 5. Now draw a line. 2 will be this side, minus 5 will be this side, and the graph will be always like this. So the domain will be from minus 2 to 2 and use close bracket here. I hope guys you all understand, and if you have a problem just write down in comments, then when I have a time I will reply you all. And remember, please watch my next video where we are going to discuss about type 3 in the square root functions, and this is square root having a quadratic equations, but you will see the value of d mean the discriminant is less than 0. It will be very interesting lecture. Please watch this video and subscribe my channel. Okay, meet you guys. Assalamu alaikum.